Hi, everyone. I'm Steve, here again for our once a week little chat with Dr. Nario. Thanks for being here, Doc.
I see. Thank you for having me again. Always a pleasure.
We're going to talk about GHK copper, GHK-Cu, peptide, very popular, part of the glow stack, TB500, BPC 157, go with it. But this is also really popular for cosmetics and stuff like that. I'm pretty familiar with it. So before we get into that, if you guys want to know more about Dr. Nario, he's in Reno, Nevada at Biointegrative Health Center. You can check them out online and see all the different treatments they do, a lot of IV drips and things like that. So let's get into it. So GHK copper, it's a very popular peptide.
hmm
What would you tell us about it just right out of the gate?
All right. So we're talking about something today that sounds like, of course, a Wi-Fi password, but is actually a fascinating molecule in longevity science. So it's GHK copper and also called the copper peptide. So if again, if you spent any time in the anti-aging world, you've probably heard about it in terms of skincare products, wound healing creams, hair regrowth formulas, and now injectable peptide protocols. But the real question is GHK-U copper just another cosmetic ingredient, or is it actually a biological signal that tells our tissues to repair themselves? So let's unpack what the science says. And again, we're going to define it a little bit more for everybody here.
So a lot of the research is done with topical creams and stuff. Do you want to tell us about those first?
Yeah. So really, the the reason why that is because the GHK copper acts as a cellular signaling peptide. It doesn't force cells to grow. Instead, it tells cells to repair and restore normal function, or restore it to where it was. Some of the key biological actions include collagen production. So GHK copper stimulates collagen, elastin, like aminoglycans. So these are basically the material in our tissues. And these are the structural proteins that keep skin firm and elastic. That's why copper peptides become famous in dermatology. And hey, literally, they tell what we call the fibroblasts or the one that creates collagen, hey, make more of it. And just to define what GHK copper is, it's a naturally occurring peptide in the human body. So it's made of three amino acids, glycine, histidine, and lysine. So when it binds to copper, it becomes, of course, GHK-U copper. So a copper binding peptide, it was first discovered in the 1970s by Dr. Lauren Picard, who found it in human plasma, who was, again, interested in what this tiny peptide seemed to stimulate tissue repair and regeneration. So and here's something fascinating. GHK levels decline by age, and young adults have significantly higher circulating levels compared to older adults. So the idea emerged. Maybe part of aging is simply losing these regenerative signaling molecules, right? So,
All right. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of taking collagen, but I'm not the doctor. But I'm a big fan of GHK copper because copper stimulates your body as long as the amino acids are there, as long as the protein's there. This stimulates your body to produce collagen, right?
yes, that is correct. And that's why it's also used for wound healing and also improve tissue remodeling, stimulate blood vessels to grow. So and that's why it's being noted also in chronic wounds and skin repair. So there's so many things. And another feature for, I guess, collagen formation is you don't want any inflammation when you're actually wanting to try to form tissue. So it's an has anti-inflammatory effects. Appears to reduce inflammatory signaling. Regulate it. Well, these are the medical terms: NF-kappa B, cytokines, oxidative stress. In simple terms, it helps tissues shift from damage mode to repair mode. And another feature that I like about this, so we always think about GHK-U copper in the sense that it's just aesthetic, right? But it's actually an antioxidant. So copper peptides can stimulate antioxidant defenses. So this includes superoxide dismutase, tissue repair enzymes, and these systems protect cells from oxidative damage, a major contribution to aging.
So I know that's why it's stacked with TB500 and BPC 157, which they call the Wolverine stack. All three of those are like healing peptides. Um, so what? And now you can if you're doing the injectable, you can do too much, right? Because I mean, is it possible to get copper toxicity?
Yeah, so that's one of the reasons why it is recommended for what we call cycling, right? So there are a few peptides that actually does not require cycling. Example like BPC, thymosin alpha, KPV. So they're fine. But when you talk about cycling, really the concept of cycling for peptides is more for the body not, I guess, get sensitized to it. So it's not going to work. But in this situation, GHKU copper cycling is related to the possible overdose of copper. So copper, you have to remember, is something oxidative. It actually produces free radicals in the system that can promote inflammation rather than anti-inflammation. So that's why, yeah, the this is one of those peptides that you definitely wanna cycle. Meaning when I say cycle, like 4 weeks, 6 weeks on, and then 4 weeks off, and then restart the whole cycle again. And, there's also when you mentioned about stacking a while ago, you mentioned about I guess, the glow stack, right? So when you
Yeah,
about
that's combined.
right. So the glow stack is, to be specific for our audience here, GHKU copper, BPC 157, and TB 500. So this is the most popular stack that's related to actually repair. And again, why BPC heals the gut, reduces inflammation, supports ligaments and tendons. TB 500 enhances regulation of actin, myosin, new blood vessel formation. GHQ copper adds collagen, remodeling, skin connectivity, tissue support, and even anti-aging effects. So there are so many ways to stack GHKU copper. There are ones like you even mix it with epitalon, CJC ipamorelin, but the glow stack is your famous stack for repair.
Okay, now, um, do doctors write prescriptions for this?
Right now, again, in relation to your medical perspective, it's only proven to be effective in topical form, meaning the studies are relying more on that. So when we talk about topicals, we're talking about the face, for example, the hair growth, and even wound healing and repair. So those are the even wrinkles. That's it's pretty famous for that. And the thing there is, even with the GHQ copper topicals, I know you can get them without a prescription because they're just topical. And the ones that you're talking about probably are the injectables, the orals. So the injectables is the one that's actually famous for potency. It's just that of course the studies are not there yet. It's getting there, and I think the stack also is related to the injectable form. You have to remember injectable forms of, I don't know if you've experienced this before. I've heard that it sometimes is painful. It stings a little bit when you use it,
Yes, it is.
right? So that's why
Yeah,
it's
it
not.
stings. It stings.
Yeah, and that's why it's not that. I mean, in relation to your one of your favorite peptides, it's probably not one of my patients' favorite peptides because of the discomfort that goes along with it. But again, that one, it's still research. You can get it in research facilities, and even the orals. The orals are out there, but again, I think we had this discussion before we started the video that the oral bioavailability of orals are not really the best, but it can still be used. There are protocols out there that are using oral GHKU copper. But again, much of the research is still early. We have promising lab and animal data, but large human longevity trials are still limited. So while the biology is exciting, we still need more clinical trials.
Right, and we're not telling anybody to inject anything.
Right.
Yeah, so but there's people do research, and there's a lot of ongoing research on this and the whole glow stack, right? Are they still doing any human research on this?
Right now, the current research are really falling into the realm of animals. The newer studies for human research that I have seen was actually related to it's a 2024 study in relation to you know um dandruff
Oh,
or
really?
right. So it's actually related to, it's a scrub that they did on the head. So The dandruff improved, the dry scalp symptom improved. And again, it safely was effective on specific adults who was part of that study. And also there is another one for wound healing, meaning even lowering down the chances of infection. This also was seen when they were using topical GHKU copper. But the animal studies recently, they actually did it on rats or mice, and they actually healed. I don't know if you heard of the colitis diagnoses for the gut. So that also reduced inflammation and also accelerated healing of that specific ulcerative colitis gut, and even lung issues such as lung fibrosis or silicosis. That also kind of made a mark again, but this is also animal, and Alzheimer's and neuroprotection. So this was actually a 2024 study. They used an intranasal GHK copper to spray up the nose of Alzheimer's mice, and it improved cognition, reduced plaques, and even supported tissue repair. And also in aging, they showed that even the senescent cells started to get destroyed. So again, as you would see, the mixture here, it's not fully human studies, but it's something to hang on to and maybe start the momentum for the future.
Yeah, and I mean, look, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like people don't buy these from research sites
Sure.
and do research on themselves because they do, but it is FDA approved, the topical, right?
Yes. That one is something that has been out there. Yes.
Well, won't that go right through your skin and get into your bloodstream?
That's a good question. So when you talk about topical, there are so many different ways of absorption that you have to consider. So number one, how thick that skin part that you're applying it onto. If you're putting it in your hands, right? The callous hands. I mean, really how much is just staying on the surface rather than the systemic circulation. On the scalp, where hair is there, like it's stuck on your hair, actual hair, or the hair follicles. But if you're talking about skin that is thin, like your shins or up your forehead, so those are thinner areas where you don't have much obstruction for systemic absorption. So you're right. Even topicals can actually get into the systemic circulation. It's just that it varies. So studies behind that is now that's why when you actually do a study on topicals, you always want to focus on the same body part. You're not going to be just changing it in different places. So that absorption is not going to be affected. But you're right. It can also be systemically absorbed, but it's different when you inject it. It's different when you take it orally. There's probably higher systemic absorption for that.
Hmm. All right. So, Dr. Nario, is there anything else that we should know? Do you have anything else that you should tell us about GHK copper?
Right. Just wanted to go back to that point that you said FDA approved. It's still not FDA approved, as we can say. The copper is actually more of a, there's so many products out there that you could get commercially liposomal. So that's if you want to go for oral forms rather than a capsule, there's a liposomal version of a GHK copper that is fast absorbed. And there's a company that I can't mention. And also for oral absorption, I mean, if you want to catch up with the injectable dosing, it has to be higher because you're right, it will be destroyed by your gastric acid when you take it. Really, GHK copper, there's a lot of potential for this in the market. And what we can remember about this is it's a natural occurring regenerative peptide. So we have this in our bodies, involved in tissue repair, collagen production, a powerful cellular signaling molecule, and the levels decline with age, but raises interesting questions about aging biology. And research suggests it may help shift the body towards repair and regeneration. The key word here is potential. Science is exciting, but we still need more human clinical data to fully understand its role in longevity medicine. Integrative medicine, the goal isn't just to slow aging, it's to support the body's natural ability to repair itself. And molecules like GHK copper may give us important clues about how the body does that.
Yeah, I think peptides are about to explode onto the scene. I mean, people been using them, other countries been using them, Russia since the 70s,
Right.
different peptides, and I think they're about to get really popular. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I've been getting calls even internationally about peptides, and they want me to give lectures about it. They're just hungry for this knowledge. So you're right; it's a growing, not only nationwide trend, but it's a global. I guess fanaticism about peptides is starting and it's
Yeah,
growing.
it is amazing. We'll see what happens in the next 6 months to a year. I think it's gonna go nuts, and,
It's good. That's good. I can tell.
it's gonna be interesting. Okay, so Dr. Nario, thank you so much for being with us, and we will see you next time.
Well, thank you, Steve, for having me again. As we all know, that knowledge is power, and thank you for letting me provide you with the edge in longevity and health maintenance, which I call the biological edge or the bio edge.